Hey, so I just got back to the gym this morning after having a few days off because I had to go up to Lao and come back. And I had this kind of epiphany in that process because in the van on the way up, which is like a 10-hour drive, the old guy next to me was like touching me, and it was really uncomfortable. And every time he like shifted around or whatever, it kind of seemed accidental. But then it wasn't after that, and it was really, really irritating. And so obviously I couldn't sleep on the way up, and I kind of, because I was so uncomfortable the entire time, socially and physically, I must have had a lot of like tension. So because I had all of this tension, by the time I actually got up there, I felt really sore. Like I actually felt like I do after a fight. And it was in my neck and my shoulders and my back, and it was really, really awful, actually. But it made me realize how often there must be kind of unconscious tension in anyone's body, but in my body. And you can get it from when you're training, like in your pad work or you're sparring because you're tense, or you can have it prior to your fight just because you're nervous or anything like this. And actually feeling in my body how much of an impact that had on me was kind of amazing. So what it made me realize is that it's really important to learn how to recognize and be mindful of that tension, and then practice training yourself releasing it. So I basically had another 10-hour drive to practice finding areas in my body that were really tense and practicing releasing them. So I could feel that it was in my shoulders or in my hands, and I'd be like, okay, I can tell that that's tension, and kind of mentally work on releasing those muscles. One of the ways to do it is to actually flex the muscle really hard, and then as it releases, your body recognizes what that feels like to release it, and then you can kind of do it a little bit easier the next time. But so yeah, that was something that I learned on this trip, was that the effect of unconscious tension can be really severe, and it can come from a lot of things. It can come from being nervous, it can come from being uncomfortable, it can come from the guy next to you being a complete jerk. So this was a very useful trip for me, even though it was so awful. And when I came back to training this morning, I was working really hard on being able to identify tension in moments that I might not recognize that I'm being tense, like in my pad work, or even in my shadow boxing and things like that. When I was watching my last session with Karohat, in order to do the voiceover, when I was watching it, I noticed times that I got more tense, whereas when I was training, I don't think that I could really feel it. So maybe even videotape yourself and see if you can identify those moments. So that's my update, is about this kind of epiphany of being able to recognize unconscious tension, learn to make it something that you're aware of, and then practice being able to release it, because it's probably happening all the time. So yeah, worthwhile, even though it was awful. I'm glad to be back at the gym.